Deep within the opulent palaces and hushed corridors of the Habsburg Empire, whispers turned into secrets. Every courtier, every general, every revolutionary, every artist, and even the seemingly ordinary citizen could be watching, listening, or reporting. This wasn't just a kingdom. It was a web of eyes and ears, a silent battleground where loyalties shifted like shadows, and information held more power than any army. Lives were built on deception, fortunes won through betrayal, and destinies shattered by a single whispered name. Get ready to uncover the chilling stories of the 10 most notorious figures who navigated this hidden world, where trust was a weapon, and every smile hid a secret. Number 1. Alfred Redl. The year was 1913, and the grand Austro-Hungarian Empire stood on the precipice of a global conflict. Vienna, a city of waltzes and coffee houses, concealed a deep secret, a betrayal that would send shockwaves through its military intelligence apparatus. At the heart of this scandal stood Alfred Redl, a man who had risen to the ranks of the general staff. A brilliant officer, once considered a paragon of efficiency and a master of counter-espionage. His career was a testament to his sharp mind and tireless dedication. He cultivated an image of meticulousness, a man whose desk was always orderly, whose reports were always precise. He was known for his analytical prowess, his ability to understand enemy intentions, and his ruthless methods in rooting out foreign agents. He implemented some of the most advanced counterintelligence techniques of his time, using hidden cameras, fingerprint analysis, and even psychological profiling to identify spies. He became head of the Evidence Bureau, the Empire's intelligence agency, a position of immense trust and power. His reputation was impeccable, his loyalty unquestioned. He was the one who caught others. Yet behind this facade of patriotic duty, Redl harbored a shocking secret. For over a decade, he had been selling the Empire's deepest secrets to Russia, Italy, and possibly France. His motives were complex. A twisted knot of blackmail, ambition, and personal indulgence. He was a homosexual in an era when such a lifestyle was criminalized and socially condemned. Russian agents discovered this vulnerability and exploited it mercilessly, threatening to expose him. Beyond the blackmail, Red lived a life of lavish excess, far beyond his officer's salary. He entertained luxuriously, frequented expensive establishments, and supported the lifestyle that could only be financed by illicit means. The money from his espionage funded this double life, allowing him to maintain appearances while secretly undermining the very nation he served. His methods were as ingenious as they were destructive. He provided Russia with mobilization plans, military strengths, fortress blueprints, and the names of Austrian agents operating abroad. He systematically dismantled the Empire's spy networks, handing over the identities of his own operatives to the enemy, effectively sending many to their deaths. He even engineered operations where he would catch a fictitious or low-level spy, thereby enhancing his own reputation as a counterintelligence. Genius, while the real damage continued unseen. One particularly devastating betrayal involved the Austrian invasion plans for Serbia, crucial information that would prove invaluable to Russia's allies when war eventually broke out. The unraveling of Redl's treachery began with a series of intercepted letters. Austrian counterintelligence had been tracking suspicious money transfers originating from abroad. A particular letter containing a large sum of money and addressed simply to of Redl at a post office box in Vienna raised alarm bells. When an officer went to collect it, Redl himself appeared, trying to retrieve the letter. The post office clerk, following protocol, insisted on verifying identity. Redl fled in a panic, leaving the incriminating envelope behind. The contents were shocking. Bank notes from foreign powers and a list of classified documents that had been recently copied from Austrian military files. The evidence was undeniable. On May 25, 1913, senior officers confronted Redl at his hotel room. He confessed readily, calmly acknowledging the enormity of his crimes. He offered little explanation beyond financial need and the crushing weight of blackmail. That very night, with a revolver provided by his former colleagues, Alfred Redl took his own life. The military sought to contain the scandal, reporting his death as a suicide. For unknown reasons, however, the truth soon leaked. The news ripped through the empire, igniting public outrage and shaking the military to its core. Redl's betrayal weakened Austria-Hungary's military preparedness significantly on the eve of World War I, sowing distrust and forcing a complete overhaul of its intelligence systems. His name became synonymous with the ultimate act of treason, a chilling reminder that even those sworn to protect a nation could be its most insidious enemies. Number 2. Johann Strauss I. Vienna in the mid-19th century was a city of soaring melodies, graceful waltzes, and a vibrant cultural life. It was also a city under the watchful eye of Prince Clemens, von Metternich's pervasive police state. Every salon, every coffeehouse, every public gathering was a potential hotbed of liberal thought or revolutionary sentiment. Metternich's system relied heavily on a vast network of informants, ears and eyes in every corner of society. And among the most surprising names rumored to have been part of this clandestine web was none other than Johann Strauss, the Elder, the celebrated Waltz King, whose music embodied the very spirit of Vienna. Born in 1804, Strauss rose from humble beginnings to become a musical titan. He created the modern Viennese waltz, transforming it from a simple folk dance into an elegant, internationally acclaimed art form. His orchestra was immensely popular, performing in grand ballrooms and public gardens across the empire. He toured extensively, captivating audiences with his energetic conducting and his endlessly catchy tunes. He was a fixture of Viennese society, loved and admired by all, including the imperial family. His compositions, like Badetsky March and Lorley Rhine Clange, were anthems of the era, played in military parades and celebratory gatherings alike. Yet persistent rumors, backed by some historical research, suggest that Strauss may have been more than just a composer. He was allegedly an agent provocateur for the state police, providing information on the political leanings and activities of prominent citizens, foreign visitors, and even fellow musicians. His unique position allowed him unparalleled access to all layers of society, from the highest aristocracy to the student revolutionaries who frequented his concerts. People spoke freely around him, captivated by his charm and the intoxicating joy of his music. Who would suspect the maestro secretly taking notes for the authorities? His alleged role was subtle but effective. He did not overtly arrest anyone or engage in dramatic spycraft. Instead, he simply observed, listened, and reported details about conversations overheard at balls, comments made, pecht, or associations formed among his audience. Members could all be valuable intelligence for a regime obsessed with maintaining order and suppressing dissent. He would pass on snippets of information about suspected political agitators, details of clandestine meetings, or even just the general mood of the population regarding current affairs. This information, often seemingly innocuous, could be pieced together by the police to form a larger picture of potential threats to the empire. The reasons for Strauss's alleged involvement are debated. Some historians suggest he was simply a pragmatic opportunist, aware that collaborating with the authorities would ensure his continued success and protection in a restrictive society. He depended on official patronage and public performances for his livelihood, and incurring the wrath of the police could have easily ended his career. Others speculate he might have been compelled or blackmailed into the role. Regardless of the motivation, the idea that the beloved composer of joyous waltzes might have been an informer casts a shadowy pall over his otherwise brilliant legacy. The true extent of his activities remains somewhat shrouded in mystery, as formal documentation of such informal arrangements was often deliberately scarce. However, police archives of the era contain reports that align with his movements and observations. The fact that a figure as prominent and publicly adored as Johann Strauss the Elder could have secretly served the state's intelligence apparatus speaks volumes about the pervasive nature of the Metternich system, it highlights how deeply the tendrils of surveillance reached into everyday life, turning even the most celebrated artists into potential instruments of control. Strauss's legacy as a musical genius is undeniable, but the whisper of his alleged secret life adds a layer of dark intrigue to the harmonious world he created. Number 3. Karl Tuvora. In the turbulent spring of 1848, Vienna erupted. Students, workers, and liberal intellectuals poured into the streets, demanding reforms, a constitution, and an end to the suffocating absolutism of Metternich's rule. Barricades rose. Clashes with the military ensued, and for a fleeting moment it seemed the old order might crumble. In the heart of this revolutionary fervor, a figure emerged who would become infamous, a name whispered with contempt and loathing. Karl Tuvora, the ultimate police informer, known to history as the Judas of Vienna. Tuvora was not a revolutionary nor a statesman, but a man driven by a blend of self-preservation, financial gain, and perhaps a twisted sense of loyalty to the established order. He was a police agent, a paid informant, whose primary task was to infiltrate and betray the burgeoning liberal and student movements. He was a master of deception, able to chameleon his way into the trust of those he intended to expose. He dressed like them, spoke their language, adopted their revolutionary slogans, and feigned passionate commitment to their cause. He would attend clandestine meetings, participate in fiery debates, and even help plan demonstrations, all while imitations for his police handlers. His modus operandi was simple, yet devastatingly effective. He would gain the confidence of key figures in the student legions and democratic clubs, often by portraying himself as a particularly zealous and courageous revolutionary. He would then subtly gather intelligence, identifying leaders, understanding their strategies, and learning a network of safe houses and communication channels. His reports to the police were detailed and precise, providing the authorities with an invaluable window into the minds and movements of the revolutionaries. Thanks to his information, numerous arrests were made. Many plans for uprisings were thwarted before they could even begin, and key figures were rounded up. One of Tuvora's most notorious acts involved the betrayal of the Akademische Legion, the armed student group that played a crucial role in the initial stages of the revolution. He provided the police with information about their armories, their leadership structure, and their strategic intentions, allowing the authorities to dismantle their operations from within. He was also instrumental in the capture of several prominent student leaders and liberal politicians, sending them to prison or forcing them into exile. His actions were a direct factor in the eventual suppression of the Viennese uprising, as the authorities, armed with Tuvora's intelligence, were able to systematically break the back of the resistance. As the revolution waned and the imperial government regained control, Tuvora's true identity became increasingly known among the disillusioned revolutionaries. He became a symbol of betrayal, a despised figure whose name was spat in disgust. His presence was a stark reminder of the pervasive and insidious nature of the state's surveillance. He represented the ultimate failure of trust, a chilling example of how easily a cause could be undermined by an enemy within. While his actions were lauded by the imperial authorities, they earned him eternal infamy among those who fought for freedom. Tuvora's fate is a murky one, as is often the case with such figures. He faded from public view, presumably continuing his life under state protection, his work done. His story serves as a stark lesson in the dangers of revolutionary movements, not just from external force, but from the internal rot of informants. He was a crucial cog in the machinery of suppression, a reminder that even the most fervent movements can be brought down by the quiet whispers of a betrayer. Number 4. Francesco Nardi. The early 19th century in Italy was a cauldron of political unrest, a time when secret societies like the Carbonari stirred the flames of nationalism and liberalism against the fragmented foreign-dominated states of the peninsula, including the Austrian territories and Lombardy, Venetia. These underground groups swore oaths of loyalty, plotted uprisings, and dreamed of a unified, independent Italy. Yet the Austrian secret police, ever vigilant, sought to infiltrate and dismantle these networks. One of their most devastating successes came in the form of Francesco Nardi, a Carbonaro who turned informant, becoming a notorious betrayer of his comrades. Nardi was an educated man, a lawyer by profession, who initially joined the Carbonari with what seemed like genuine revolutionary fervor. He was intelligent, articulate, and well-connected within the nascent Italian nationalist circles. He quickly rose through the ranks, gaining the trust of other members, attending their clandestine meetings, and becoming privy to their plans for insurrections and acts of defiance against Austrian rule. His position made him invaluable to the Carbonari, but also a prime target for the Austrian authorities, who, through a combination of coercion and persuasion, managed to turn him. The exact circumstances of Nardi's recruitment by the Austrians remain somewhat unclear, shrouded in the secrecy typical of such operations. Some accounts suggest he was apprehended and offered a choice: face a harsh prison sentence or even execution for treason, or become an agent for the imperial police, with promises of leniency and financial reward. Others imply that he may have been tempted by the lure of money or disillusioned with the Carbonari's effectiveness. Whatever the reason, Nardi chose to betray his oath and his comrades. His betrayal was systematic and devastating. He provided the Austrian authorities with comprehensive lists of Carbonari members, details of their organizational structure, their secret codes, their meeting places, and their planned uprisings. He participated in their activities only to report back every detail, allowing the police to move swiftly and decisively. One of his most significant betrayals involved the Carbonari's attempted uprising in the Kingdom of Naples in 1820–21. While not directly Austrian territory, the fallout from these insurrections and to suppress them highlighted the interconnectedness of Italian nationalist movements and the pervasive reach of Habsburg influence. Nardi provided crucial intelligence that helped the Austrians and their allies to identify and crush similar movements elsewhere. In the Austrian-controlled regions, Nardi's information led to mass arrests. Prominent Carbonari leaders were rounded up, many were imprisoned for long periods, and some faced execution. The sheer scale of the arrests crippled the movement in Lombardy Venetia for years, stifling any significant organized resistance against Habsburg rule. Nardi's actions sowed deep distrust within the remaining Carbonari cells, making it almost impossible for them to operate effectively. No one knew who could be trusted, and the paranoia was a weapon almost as effective as direct arrests. Nardi became a reviled figure among Italian patriots, his name synonymous with treachery. He was their Judas, a man who sold out his own people for personal gain or to save his own skin. While the Austrian authorities valued his service, he lived a life forever shadowed by his past, likely with a constant fear of retribution from those he had betrayed. His story is a chilling example of the destructive power of a single informant capable of unraveling years of revolutionary effort and shattering the dreams of an entire generation. His legacy, though benefiting the Habsburg Empire in the short term, remains a stain on the history of Italian liberation, a testament to the bitter cost of betrayal and the struggle for national freedom. Number 5. Ignaz Franz von Reismann. In the early decades of the 19th century, as the tremors of revolution spread across Europe, the Habsburg Empire, under Prince Metternich, faced a constant threat to its absolutist rule. To maintain stability, Metternich cultivated a sophisticated, pervasive police state, and at its very heart sat the Polizeihofstelle, or police court office. Presiding over this formidable intelligence apparatus was Ignaz Franz von Reismann, a man who, though not a field spy himself, was perhaps the most notorious spy master of his era. His notoriety stemmed from his chilling effectiveness in orchestrating the vast network of informants, censors, and secret agents that kept the empire in an iron grip. Reisman was a career bureaucrat, a man of meticulous order and unwavering loyalty to the crown. He understood that knowledge was power, and that preemptive action was the best defense against revolutionary ideas. He ascended to the head of the Polizeihofstelle, becoming the architect of a system designed to detect and neutralize any perceived threat to the Habsburg monarchy, whether from liberal intellectuals, nationalist agitators, or foreign influences. He was a master of administrative control, building a centralized system that gathered information from every corner of the vast, multi-ethnic empire. His methods were comprehensive and relentless. Riesemann oversaw a vast network of informers, many of whom, like Karl Tuvora, were embedded within various social groups, universities, literary circles, coffee houses, and even religious congregations. These agents would report on suspicious conversations, the circulation of forbidden books, or the formation of any unauthorized gatherings. He established the Black Cabinet, Schwarz's Cabinet, a postal censorship office that intercepted and read all mail, both domestic and international. Every letter, every parcel, was meticulously opened, read, copied, if deemed important, and then resealed. This provided Riesemann with an unparalleled insight into the private thoughts and plans of citizens and foreign powers alike. Riesemann's police also meticulously monitored foreign visitors and diplomats, keeping extensive dossiers on their activities and contacts within the empire. He utilized agents provocateurs to incite radical talk or actions, thereby identifying and exposing potential dissident. No detail was too small, no individual too insignificant to escape his attention. His office compiled vast archives of intelligence detailing the political leanings, personal lives, and suspected activities of thousands of individuals. These dossiers were used to justify arrests, suppress publications, and control public discourse. The impact of Riesemann's system was profound. It created an atmosphere of fear and distrust where people hesitated to express dissenting opinions even in private. Liberal and nationalist movements were severely hampered, their leaders often arrested before they could gain significant traction. Intellectual life suffered under the weight of censorship and surveillance, pushing creative expression and political debate underground. While the system maintained order and arguably prolonged the life of the absolute monarchy, it did so at the cost of civil liberties and fostered deep resentment among the populace. Riesemann remained at his post for many years, a silent, powerful force behind the scenes. He was never a dramatic spy who infiltrated enemy lines, but rather the unseen hand that moved countless pieces on the chessboard of imperial security. His notoriety comes from the sheer scale and chilling effectiveness of the surveillance state he constructed. He retired from his position in 1830, but the system he perfected continued to operate, a testament to his lasting influence. Ignaz Franz von Riesemann stands as a stark reminder of how a bureaucracy of surveillance can become a potent weapon against a nation's own people, shaping an entire era through the quiet accumulation and deployment of secrets. Number 6. Count Wenzel Anton Kaunitz-Riedberg. Stepping back into the 18th century, we encounter a different kind of spymaster, one operating at the highest echelons of diplomacy and statecraft. Count Wenzel Anton Kaunitz-Riedberg, the formidable state chancellor and foreign minister to Empress Maria Theresia, and later her son Emperor Joseph II, was not a cloak and dagger operative in the traditional sense, yet he was undeniably one of the most notorious figures in Habsburg intelligence, the architect and principal user of a vast diplomatic spy network that shaped European politics for decades. His notoriety lies in his unparalleled skill at gathering secrets and wielding them as powerful tools on the international stage. Kaunitz, born in 1711, was a man of immense intellect, charm, and ambition. He entered imperial service as a diplomat and quickly rose to prominence. Recognizing the crucial role of information in the intricate dance of European power politics, he meticulously built an intelligence apparatus unlike any other in the Habsburg realm. His vision extended beyond simple military reconnaissance. He sought to understand the intentions, weaknesses, and strengths of every foreign court, every rival monarch, and every potential ally. He understood that true diplomatic advantage came from knowing what others did not. His methods were varied and sophisticated for his time. Kaunitz cultivated a network of trusted agents and informers embedded within foreign embassies, royal courts, and merchant communities. Across Europe, These agents were often diplomats themselves or individuals in positions of influence who secretly reported to Vienna. He encouraged the lavish spending of secret funds to buy information, to bribe officials, and to plant misleading rumors. He pioneered the strategic use of intercepts, directing his staff to discreetly open, read, and copy correspondence from foreign envoys passing through Habsburg territories. This black cabinet became a vital source of raw intelligence, providing insights into military plans, financial dealings, and personal intrigues of rival powers. He personally cultivated relationships with ambassadors and foreign dignitaries, using his famed conversational skills and keen observational abilities to extract information. He understood the nuances of court gossip, the significance of a subtle gesture, or the implications of an unsaid word. He analyzed reports from his agents with a hawk-like intensity, piecing together fragments of information to form a comprehensive picture of the European landscape. His intelligence was crucial in guiding Maria Theresia through the tumultuous War of the Austrian Succession, and later in orchestrating the diplomatic revolution, the seismic shift in alliances that saw Austria align with France against Prussia. His insights allowed the Habsburg monarchy to anticipate enemy moves, to forge timely alliances, and to negotiate from a position of strength. His network helped reveal plots against the empire, giving Vienna the advantage of foreknowledge. For nearly 40 years, his intelligence kept Austria at the forefront of European diplomacy, securing its survival and influence during a period of intense competition. Kaunitz's notoriety as a spy master stemmed from his cunning, his ruthlessness, and his almost legendary ability to outmaneuver his counterparts through superior information. He was the quintessential enlightened intelligence chief, using reason and meticulous planning to achieve guerrilla objectives. He died in 1794, leaving behind a legacy not only as a great statesman, but as the silent, powerful force who truly understood that in the world of empires, secrets were the ultimate currency. Number 7. Alexander von Bach. Following the tumultuous revolutions of 1848, the Habsburg Empire was determined to restore absolute authority and prevent any further challenges to its rule. The figure chosen to lead this restoration, and infamous for the system he built, was Alexander von Bach. Though primarily a statesman and minister of the interior, Bach's name became synonymous with a period of intense authoritarianism known as the Bach system. His notoriety as a spy lies not in his personal cloak and dagger activities, but in his being the ultimate orchestrator and ruthless enforcer of an empire-wide surveillance network, making him one of the most feared and effective spy masters in Habsburg history. Born in 1813, Bach began his career as a liberal, surprisingly. However, after the 1848 revolutions, he dramatically shifted his allegiance, becoming a staunch proponent of centralized authority and state control. He believed that only a strong, unified government, backed by an omnipresent intelligence apparatus, could prevent the empire from fragmenting. From 1852 onwards, his system took full effect, transforming Austria into a highly centralized police state. Bach's methods were pervasive and uncompromising. He established an unparalleled network of internal spies and informers that permeated every layer of society across the empire's vast territories, from Vienna to Budapest, Prague to Milan, Lemberg to Trieste. These agents were everywhere. In universities, factories, cafes, churches, and even private homes, they reported on every whisper of dissent, every suspected liberal or nationalist sympathizer. People were encouraged, and sometimes coerced, to inform on their neighbors, colleagues, and even family members. This fostered an atmosphere of suspicion and distrust that eroded social bonds. Beyond human intelligence, Bach intensified postal censorship, reading mail from across the empire and from abroad. He controlled the press with an iron fist, suppressing any publication that dared to criticize the government or promote forbidden ideas. Public gatherings were strictly monitored, and any form of association from political clubs to singing societies was viewed with suspicion and often infiltrated. Passports and internal travel permits were meticulously checked, tracking the movements of potentially subversive individuals. His system generated mountains of detailed reports on hundreds of thousands of citizens, creating comprehensive dossiers on anyone deemed a threat. The impact of the box system was immense. It successfully stifled overt political opposition for over a decade. Nationalist movements in Hungary, Bohemia, and Italy were severely repressed, their leaders imprisoned or exiled. Intellectuals and artists faced severe restrictions on their expression. The system brought a superficial peace and order to the empire, but it did so by crushing individual freedoms and deepening ethnic resentments. The gendarme and the spy became ubiquitous symbols of government authority. Feared and loathed by the populace, Bach's personal role in this was central. He oversaw the intelligence reports, made decisions based on the gathered information, and personally approved the arrests and prosecutions of dissidents. He was the bureaucratic mastermind behind the pervasive surveillance that defined his era. While the system ultimately proved unsustainable in the long run, contributing to the empire's later internal crises, it undeniably served its purpose in stabilizing the Habsburg monarchy after the revolutions. Alexander von Bach's name remains synonymous with the oppressive and far-reaching hand of the Habsburg secret police, a testament to his notoriety as a chief architect of state-sponsored espionage. Number 8. Leopold von Leopoldi. Hidden deep within the Imperial Postal Service, within a nondescript building in Vienna, lay one of the most powerful and secretive branches of Habsburg intelligence, the Schwarzes Cabinet or Black Cabinet. This was not a network of field agents, but a sophisticated office dedicated to intercepting, reading, and copying private correspondence. And one of its most notorious figures, who presided over this covert operation in the early 19th century, was Leopold von Leopoldi. His notoriety stems from his crucial role in stripping away the privacy of thousands of citizens and foreign dignitaries, providing the Habsburg regime with invaluable, often scandalous intelligence from their own letters. Leopoldi was a master of the mundane, turning routine postal work into a powerful instrument of state control. He was an expert in the art of surreptitious communication, adept at opening letters without leaving a trace, copying their contents, and then resealing them so perfectly that the recipient would never suspect their privacy had been invaded. His staff were meticulously trained in techniques of steaming envelopes, crafting wax seals, and mimicking handwriting, ensuring that the process was entirely undetectable. This level of technical skill was paired with a keen eye for significant information. The Black Cabinet, under Leopoldi's direction, processed an astonishing volume of mail. Letters from across the Habsburg Empire and from foreign countries, destined for Vienna or merely passing through, were routinely diverted to his office. He sought out specific keywords, suspicious names, and coded messages. His targets included liberal intellectuals, nationalists, agitators, foreign diplomats, exiled revolutionaries, and even members of the imperial family, whose loyalty might be questionable. No one was truly safe from the prying eyes of the Black Cabinet. The intelligence gathered by Leopoldi's office was gold to the Metternich system. It provided crucial insights into opposition movements, revealing their plans for uprisings, their financial networks, and their international contacts. Diplomatic correspondence offered a window into the strategies of rival powers, allowing Vienna to anticipate moves on the international chessboard. Personal letters often contained gossip, vulnerabilities, or financial details that could be used for blackmail or manipulation. For example, intercepting letters between Italian nationalists and their foreign supporters provided hard evidence used to crush nascent uprisings. Learning about a foreign ambassador's financial difficulties could offer leverage in negotiations. Leopoldi himself was a figure of quiet power, never publicly celebrated, but immensely valuable to the state. He possessed a shrewd understanding of human nature, able to discern hidden meanings and potential threats within seemingly innocent prose. His office was a silent, relentless machine, churning out intelligence reports that directly informed the Emperor Metternich and other high-ranking officials. The information he provided was often decisive in matters of internal security and foreign policy. The existence of the Black Cabinet, though a closely guarded secret, was rumored and feared by the populace. The knowledge that one's private thoughts and communications could be read by unseen government agents created a climate of anxiety and caution. Leopoldi's role in this pervasive system earned him a chilling notoriety among those who valued freedom and privacy. He was a symbol of the omnipresent, invisible hand of the state, a quiet force who, without ever drawing a weapon or confronting an enemy in the field, managed to penetrate the deepest recesses of private life for the benefit of the Habsburg Empire. He perfected a vital clandestine art that kept the empire informed and secure for decades. Number 9. József Badza. The Hungarian Revolution of 1848 was a passionate outburst of national pride and a demand for self-determination against Habsburg rule. It drew intellectuals, writers, and revolutionaries into its fiery embrace. Among them was József Badza, a prominent Hungarian literary critic, editor, and playwright, a respected figure in Hungarian cultural life. Yet, for a time, Badza found himself entangled in the shadowy world of espionage, accused of becoming an informer for the very Austrian authorities he had once defied. His story is one of a complicated moral compromise, making him a figure of tragic notoriety among Hungarian patriots. Born in 1804, Badza had been a leading voice in Hungarian intellectual circles, advocating for reform and national cultural revival. He was associated with the influential literary journal Athenaeum and was a fervent supporter of the liberal ideas that swept through Europe in the mid-19th century. When the revolution broke out, he initially embraced the cause, lending his intellectual weight to the movement for Hungarian independence. He became a director of the National Theatre in Pest, a platform he used to promote patriotic sentiments. However, as the revolution faced increasing Austrian military pressure and internal divisions faced difficult choices, the exact circumstances of Badza's alleged transformation into an informer are debated and remain a source of pain for Hungarian historical memory. Some accounts suggest that after the brutal suppression of the revolution and a subsequent period of pacification under martial law, Badza, like many others, was subjected to intense pressure by the triumphant Austrian authorities. Faced with the threat of imprisonment, loss of livelihood, or worse, he may have made a desperate decision to cooperate. Badza's alleged role as an informer was not as a daring field agent, but rather as someone who provided intelligence on his former comrades and the lingering nationalist sentiments among the Hungarian intelligentsia. He was uniquely positioned to do this, given his extensive network of contacts within literary, artistic, and political circles. He would have been privy to conversations, sentiments, and even subtle acts of defiance that might escape the notice of official police. His reports would have helped the Austrian regime to identify lingering pockets of resistance, monitor the mood of the population, and prevent the resurgence of revolutionary activity. The accusations against Badza emerged later, often whispered among those who felt betrayed. Specific evidence is scarce, as such arrangements were kept meticulously secret by both sides. However, his continued presence and relatively unmolested position during the harsh post-revolutionary crackdown, while many of his peers suffered severe repercussions, fueled suspicions. The knowledge that a respected intellectual might have compromised his principles for survival or personal gain cast a long shadow over his legacy. József Badza ultimately succumbed to mental illness in his later years, perhaps a testament to the internal conflict and pressure he endured. He died in 1858. His story became a somber footnote in the history of the Hungarian Revolution, a reminder that the cost of defeat could be profound and morally corrosive. He represents the complex and often heartbreaking choices faced by individuals caught between loyalty to a cause and the crushing power of an oppressive state. His notoriety is not that of a master spy, but of a man tragically caught in the web of espionage, leaving behind a legacy tainted by the bitter accusations of betrayal. Number 10. Alois Iglesiader. In the early 19th century, the rugged Tyrolean mountains, a strategic part of the Habsburg Empire, simmered with resentment against foreign occupation. The Napoleonic Wars had seen the region pass under Bavarian and French control, sparking fierce resistance, led by the legendary patriot Andreas Hofer. While Hofer became a national hero, the story of his betrayal and the relentless pursuit of his allies reveals another notorious figure, Alois Igleder, an Austrian police agent and informer whose actions led to the capture and execution of many Tyrolean freedom. Igleder was a local, a Tyrolean himself, which made his betrayal even more bitter in the eyes of his countrymen. He had initially served in the Tyrolean militia during the early stages of the uprising against the Bavarians and French, gaining an understanding of the terrain and the local networks of resistance. However, when the tide turned and Austrian power was re-established, Igleder chose to align himself with the new order, embracing the role of an agent for the imperial police. His local knowledge and contacts made him an invaluable asset to the authorities seeking to suppress any lingering dissent and track down those who had resisted. His methods were insidious and effective. Igleder knew the secret paths, the hidden valleys, and the sympathetic villagers who harbored the last remnants of the Tyrolean rebels. He meticulously gathered intelligence, often by feigning sympathy for the cause or by exploiting his existing relationships. He would infiltrate suspected rebel hideouts, pose as a loyal supporter, and then report the locations and identities of the resistance fighters to the Austrian gendarmerie. His understanding of local dialects and customs allowed him to blend in, making where foreign agents would have instantly aroused suspicion. One of Igleder's most significant betrayals involved the hunt for Hofer's closest allies after the main uprising had been crushed. Many patriots went into hiding, attempting to evade capture. Igleder was instrumental in tracking down and apprehending several key figures, including Anton Straub, one of Hofer's trusted lieutenants. His reports provided the precise locations and the best strategies for ambushing the rebels. For his services, he was paid by the Austrian authorities and gained a certain level of protection and privilege. The impact of Igleder's actions was devastating for the Tyrolean resistance. His relentless pursuit and betrayal of the rebels effectively extinguished any further organized armed opposition in the region. Many Tyrolean patriots faced imprisonment, execution, or forced conscription into the Austrian army, their dreams of self-rule crushed. Igleder's name became synonymous with treachery among his own people, a symbol of the dark side of loyalty shifts in times of conflict. While Andreas Hofer is remembered as a martyr for Tyrolean freedom, Alois Igleder stands as a stark counterpoint, a figure whose notoriety stems from being the instrument of that martyrdom. He was not a grand spy master or a double agent navigating complex international plots. Instead, he was a local informer whose intimate knowledge of his own community allowed him to inflict profound damage from within. His story remains a chilling reminder of the personal cost of betrayal and the insidious power of a trusted insider turned enemy.